Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with today's episode, I want to tell you about our great friends over at Streetside Brewery. One of the best places in the city to just be yourself, okay? To be alive. They have some of the best beer in the city. They're east side of Cincinnati, Eastern Avenue, Columbia, Tusculum area. It's a good spot to be. But incredible beer. Like, I feel like I don't talk about the beer enough. They have a wide variety of beer that they have on tap. They are doing some amazing stuff. They do special releases all of the time. Delicious food from a rotating cast of food trucks. They also have hard liquor. Okay, so that is always an option if the beer doesn't suit you as well. And let me tell you, it is a great spot to take in a Reds game, to take in an FC Cincinnati away game. Oh, this weekend, perfect weather. It'll be a ton of fun. So please go check out Streetside. They are good people. They're doing good stuff over there. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Streetside for sponsoring so many episodes of the Cincy Postcast. And thank you, dear listener, for checking them out. And on today's episode, well, folks, to say the episode goes off the rails would imply it was ever on rails. There's not a lot of news around FC Cincinnati. And so we just hit record and just saw what happened. Okay, there were no notes ahead of time on what we were going to talk about in this one. And it really feels that way. So if you are not a fan of a more, let's say, loosey-goosey episode, check the timestamps and go find out when we actually start talking about FC Cincinnati. There is some soccer talk. It's towards the end. But in the meantime, we got Patreon questions. There's some news you might have heard in the news. And we do our best to tackle all of it. So you smash all this together and you got yourselves one heck of a Cincy Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and more, I am joined by two gentlemen who are also trying to figure out if it is worth mocking somebody for chickening out of a nuclear war. I am joined by the Chief, and I'm joined by Grayson. Grayson, is it a knocko if Noonan chickens out of the back four this weekend?
Yeah, I think so. I think. Yeah, I mean, you talk a big game and you try a bold strategy, and you gotta see it through.
I was kind of concerned when in his press conference midweek he did say that they were planning on eradicating the Toronto FC civilization. That felt like it was a little. I don't know what he meant by that, guys.
It's a little aggressive, a little.
Can I ask an existential question right now? Because I feel like part of the problem is we're all not sort of talking about this, but it's all like sort of weighing on everyone. Would we have recorded an episode tonight if a nuclear war would have broken out?
No. I had the same thought. So I was of two minds. The one was, hey, a day off.
Yeah.
The
for
other
everybody.
Was, do we just get on and just like talk about it and just post it as a way to like help people process? Because I think in some way we've helped people process like bad losses. So
that is a bad loss, I think, for all of us if that happened. Is it like a West Wing thing where it's like we do a very special episode of the postcast where it's the guys riff on thermonuclear war as a concept? I don't know how.
We pretend that there's like a air raid siren going on over our heads, and Chief is like a high school student, and he's like, "Well, gee, Mister, what is that?"
Yeah, well, it turns out
what is a B2?
Or we lead off with we're here to talk
and
about
covering really work.
We're here to talk about a massive disaster and a total. Something that's been, weighing on our minds. This FC Cincinnati backline.
No.
Something that I always found interesting about the West Wing is it posed I don't think this was intentional, but in my mind, it like always posed a very interesting conundrum because it's in a world where 9/11 never happened.
Yes.
It did not
Canonically,
happen.
did not happen.
Did not happen in the West Wing. And yet they spend the series exactly as mired in the Middle East as we were in real life. And so it does raise the question of like, does anything matter?
Or is it like Middle East determinism that it doesn't matter like what the actual decisions that you make are, you still end up in the exact same place doing the exact same things, even if certain key events don't push you there. That like we have always been at war with with Eurasia.
Yeah. That's exactly what the thesis of the show in my mind appears to be.
So there's sort of like canon American history or world history, human history moments that maybe the players change a little bit, but like this thing has to happen at this time at roughly this place.
Or have you ever had this? Yeah. Or like, have you ever had this thought? Like, okay, like what happens if I was transported back in time with all the knowledge I have currently on like September 10th, 2001? Like, would I be able to stop 9/11?
As a middle schooler in the middle of Ohio, it seems tough.
It seems tough. It's a tough ask, but here's
impossible.
Maybe not impossible. What this posits though is completely different. Is that like it doesn't matter if you stop it. There would just be another reason that we would end up doing all the things we did anyway.
Yeah. Or whatever thing you've done to try to alert the authorities triggers the planted bombs anyway.
Yeah, triggers 9/15, and you don't want to know what 9/15 was going to be.
Right. Yeah. There's a piece of fiction that was like, I think it's like, I'm going to mess this up, but there were like time travel cops that were guarding baby Hitler because the future with Hitler was better than the one where baby Hitler is murdered by all of the other time travelers. And so it's like this weird thing where it's like, no, it seems bad, but you actually need this to happen because we've seen the other version and is not any better.
So that question, like, do you kill baby Hitler? It does. I think the answer depends on what you think time travel is or does. Right.
Right.
If like there's one timeline and you can change it in the sense that like you go back to your time and whatever you changed in the past happened, then you never go back in time and kill baby Hitler.
Right. It's a causality paradox.
So it's like a paradox because
Hitler's already dead. Why would you go back in time to kill Hitler?
You never knew who that was. You went back in time and you killed somebody else.
Yeah.
And
or you assassinate some great artist of the past for some reason.
Or if like
mediocre.
But if on the other hand, time is like just like a bunch of threads that like spool out, right? And you just create like another thread. Well, you haven't done anything.
Yeah, the original universe with Hitler in it still exists.
You've still doomed all these people to die.
If anything, you're just jumping to a different timeline where he was never born or something. Yes.
Yeah, or like you're not saving anybody. You're creating a bunch of people who in this thread never died.
Yeah. You know, I think this hypothetical would work a lot better if you said you were going back to kill toddler Hitler. Because baby Hitler seems very innocent. Toddler Hitler was probably an asshole. Most toddlers suck.
I do think the original premise of the question is, would you be willing to murder for pre-crime, basically?
But it's very much like the baby is like, we have picked the most innocent form
correct.
the H-man. Whereas if you get him,
done anything yet. Yes.
Right. Well, neither is the toddler, but the toddler is probably throwing a temper tantrum and being a shithead. So it's probably a lot easier to like mentally make the leap that like, okay, I see where this came from now. We got to do something about this.
Just hang out with this kid long enough till he makes you mad, I guess.
Right.
That seems bad.
Yeah.
So is that go ahead, Grayson.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, is that a no? We would not have done a thermonuclear war show.
I don't think so.
We should have come on and been like, what does this mean?
We would have done a different West Wing episode, which is two guys sit in a room having like the most boring conversation, and at the end of the episode, one guy says, "And that's why I'm a Republican," and then the closing line of the episode is Josh Lyman saying, "But you're gay." And it just like blows everybody's minds. And it's just like the craziest stuff you've ever seen in your entire life. You can't believe it.
Yeah. I think it would have been fun to just come on and just be like, so what does this mean for the World Cup? What does this mean for just treat it like any old thing.
Here to join us live is Carter Chapley. Carter, are you worried about traveling to Toronto for this upcoming away match?
Are you allowed to come back? Are you allowed to leave?
Yeah, yo, Carter, who you got? Who's your guys?
Right.
And there is a correct answer. Be careful.
Right. FC Cincinnati bombs out of this match with Toronto.
Oh, no.
No. You know what's funny? Not funny. It's sad.
No,
but
it's funny. It's funny, but not.
It's funny in the abstract sense. Is that like we could release this tomorrow, and this could still happen tomorrow, and this conversation looks even worse.
I just don't. There's a weirdness. Like, was it Senator Warnock? Like tweeted out like that morning of don't let this distract you from wealth moving from the bottom to the top.
Dude, you kidding me?
Somebody, yes, not now, man.
genuine post, and somebody retweeted it of like, hey man, nah, I'm actually pretty distracted right now.
You could tweet that about like Kristi Noem's husband.
Yeah, right.
like keep your eye on the ball.
Both of them. Keep your eyes up here, okay?
Even though their eyes do seem to go into wildly different directions.
Yeah.
See, we can focus on two things at once.
My nuclear triad is up here, okay, guys?
People can do two things.
Okay, just keeping tabs.
Two big things.
Two things, exactly two things at the same time.
So who's had the most embarrassing last couple of weeks? Brian Noem or the FC Cincinnati defense?
Or Brian Ramirez with his defending last week? You want to talk about a guy that was a bimbo? Let me talk about Brian Ramirez playing on the left back.
He's playing like he plays for Philadelphia Union.
Yeah, I was going to say Philly's sponsor. Man, I sadly, I think what got lost in that story, by the way, is that Kristi Noem had been fired via presidential truth and gave a speech to a gaggle of press, unaware that she had just been fired. And that's very fun.
It's the best way to find out you're fired. It's like, wait, I'm fired? All right, well, the hell with all you people. I'm out.
I'm out. See ya. I've got to stop working.
I got a lot of things to say to you people right now.
Oh, God.
Imagine spending all that money to get like all that work done. And it was like exactly the wrong kind of work for your marriage.
It does seem
it was on exactly the wrong person in your marriage.
That's a good point too. The household plastic surgery budget was being misallocated.
Yeah.
Dude, the fact that this all came out because he butt dialed this lady and then she called him back which I would never do if it was a number I didn't recognize. Like I don't call numbers I don't recognize back.
And he had his name on his voicemail.
And it was like his insurance. It was from the number associated with his insurance, with his company.
Oh. Have these people never heard of the concept of a burner phone?
Okay.
Yeah.
So since this is a politics segment,
I think I know where Grayson's going, but continue.
What do you guys think about this gambling bill introduced in the Ohio House? We've talked about this issue in the past.
Yeah.
And it seems like what it would require gamblers to place wagers at casinos, prohibit all betting on college sports, cap the amount and frequency of bets, and limit the ability of sports books to advertise or offer financial incentives. And I would say, these all sound good to me, especially as a podcast that has never had a sports book advertiser pay money or offer financial incentives for the deal. So like definitely that part for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring us all back on even footing, please.
Bettors also couldn't use a credit card to place wagers. It all seems fine to me.
I've come around on this. Like I was a big advocate for legalized sports gambling. And, everyone always thinks they're the person that's doing something responsibly. It's like, no, I'm the guy that's good at drunk driving. All these other people are bad at drunk driving. Come on. Yeah. If you're listening to this,
example, Chief.
Yeah. If you're listening to this podcast while driving drunk, please pull the car over and sleep it off.
And turn yourself
switch
in.
Podcasts.
Yeah. Put on something else. Put on the Flying Lion so they can play.
Put on Queen City Press. The Insider Show.
You get caught listening to us. That makes us look bad.
Right. So I have come around to the idea, I haven't bet nearly as much as I thought I would. I was really excited for like gambling to come around. I was excited to do this. And it just, I don't do it enough. I don't do it as much as I thought I would. And I've come around to the idea that like more things in society need a little bit of friction to them. Like it should not be as easy to place a bet as pull your phone out and I can bet on this activity. The other thing that I've kind of come around to as well is that like the type of betting that like first drew me to sports betting was I liked going to the casino. I liked going to the sports book. I liked actually having to like be able to communicate with the person at the window, what I was doing, put the money down. And I don't think it's a bad thing that you should have to go to a casino to put a wager in. I don't think it's a bad thing that you should have, only certain wagers available. Like when you go out to when I would go out to Vegas back in the day, like you could bet, overs, unders, point spreads, and on big games, they would have like exotics and player props. But like the idea that you can sit and bet on every pitch in a baseball game, we've gone way, way too far on this. And I usually am the first person speaking up when it's like, no, people said this was a thing. People wanted this to be a thing. We passed this. It was the will of the people. And we pulled too many guardrails off on this one. So I'm not unhappy about this. The only part of this that I don't like is they're trying to cap how much you can wager. If you actually have to go to a casino, I don't care how much you wager. If you can go and you can drop $10,000 at the blackjack table, then I don't see a reason why a sports bet is any different once you're inside the building itself.
Plus what, like for those of us who are good at betting, you're just protecting the casino.
Right.
There is a point where it's like, yeah, you're supposed to lose. That's why it's a business. It's just like, what are you actually defending or protecting here? Like, why don't you cap how much casinos can take in winnings or cuts on a certain bet or whatever, just to like level it back towards the little guy a little bit. I don't know.
I also don't have, I don't have a problem with college betting either. Like, I think you should be able to bet on college games. I don't think I agree with the idea you shouldn't be able to bet on college player props. I think that's way there's too much that can go wrong with that.
I mean, college
it's pro sports at this point.
It's pro sports at this point, right? Yeah. So like betting on March Madness, betting on, Big Ten football or whatever. If you can bet on the NFL, you should be able to bet on. These
guys are making more money than half the people in the NFL at this point.
Literally, Brendan Sorsby will be making more than every rookie and second year quarterback next year.
But I think that, like, to Chief's point about like going to a sports book and whatever, there's also kind of like a social component to that.
Yeah.
That I think is fine and can be actually fun and good, right? So like go get a table with your friends or your loved ones or whoever.
Yeah.
Or like sitting around other strangers who also are like betting on the game, and you guys are like, ribbing each other or like enjoying or like, celebrating together. Like, this is all like kind of social kind of activities that people just generally need more reps in.
Yeah.
These days.
I agree completely with this.
There's no social benefit to like lying down on your couch and pulling up, this app as if it's like, another like, terrible addicting thing like Facebook or some like phone game or whatever. And just boop, boop, boop. Like $100 is on like Ellie De La Cruz to home run, right? Like, man.
It's tough.
And look, I've got a gambling app on my phone. Like, I'm not perfect,
I use it.
I have absentmindedly like pulled up the phone and like scrolled through bets and stuff. And I don't think it's like a good, I still don't think like that was a good activity for me to engage in, but I understand like the draw and the appeal, and it's just so easy to do it.
Yeah. The other thing too is like, I didn't think about this until like you mentioned it just now, but like, part of what I'm talking about though is like why I like to like gamble on sports was I did like the sports book environment. Like half the fun of going to Vegas was that all these casinos had sports books. You'd roll up to one, you'd put a couple bets in, you'd grab a couple drinks at the bar, and you'd sit and you'd watch a game. And I was kind of looking forward to that happening. Like, oh yeah, no, we'll get sports books now here in Ohio. I'll be able to go to the book. We'll be able to go and watch a game there. And oh yeah, no, because everything's on your phone now, there was no reason for them to build a nice sports book at all. I mean, shit, I think the betting window at the casino is like, it's tucked into the corner by the bar at the Hard Rock restaurant. And if this means in order to capture that revenue, they're going to have to build an actual sports book, that's a win. That's a fun thing to do. Like sitting on your couch and like sweating out the over in a MAC football game is electric. Don't get me wrong, but that's not good for society in terms of getting people to like do more and experience more and like just be less on their phone and more present in the moment.
Okay, so here's the compromise. All of our various, let's say, sinful activities, they have to pay a social tax in order to happen. So this is going to require some sacrifice, but alcohol and tobacco cannot be sold in stores. You have to go to a tobacco lounge or a bar to consume alcohol or tobacco. We're banning pornography, but we're bringing back peep show theaters. Okay, if you want to do this, it's got to be a communal activity. Yes, all gambling happens in a casino. This is the price we all have to pay.
But it doesn't have to be a casino, right? It could be like the sports book across the street from the Reds stadium.
Yeah, it's really nice actually.
If they want to put a sports book in the FC Cincinnati stadium, you could do that. I think they've talked about. I think they do want to do that.
Well, now that's gonna be a great idea. Now, if this law passes, that's all of a sudden looking visionary again.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think all breweries should be able to be sports books. Like,
Sure.
Kroger is a sports book, by the way. You can place bets in Kroger's.
That's dumb. I don't want that. I want to be able to go to like Street Side and like have a sports book at Street Side. That would be a lot of fun. Then it's like, that's Kevin's thing. That's like, oh, this is a location of sin. But
Yes.
you can come here and there are vices provided right here.
See, it would be fun. And then it's all, it can be taxed and we can put everybody on lists. I meant everybody can go make friends.
All I'm taking out of this conversation is Kevin wants to go back, wants the peep shows to come back, go back to that.
Look, me and the president were both just singing the praises of 1970s New York and how glorious it was. So I think I'm in good graces here.
I had a friend in high school that wrote that the only thing that keeps society together, he had to write, like, I forget what class it was a sense of shame. And his idea is that internet pornography was bad because it was a good thing that you had to feel some sense of shame going to a store and asking to buy a nudie magazine from behind the rack. And that was a good thing, that like you had to like, have the balls to go in and be like, yeah, can I have the Hustler back there, please? And they're like, what, the Hustler, the latest edition right here? It's like, yeah, if I could just get that, please. Okay, that'll be $6 for the Hustler. I have to put your Hustler in a bag. It's like, yeah, okay. And if you could get through all that, then you have earned, your happy time with the magazine. But like, if you just have to go to the hub online, you've missed all that. There's no earning it at all.
What are divorced dads doing nowadays? They're like, this is
monitoring
how you
the situation in Iran.
They're like, you have to like go to your 12-year-old son and say like, this is how you use a Tor browser. Like you can't just like hand them off magazines like when I was growing up.
Right. There's literally nothing to stumble across anymore.
No, it's like, it's every dad has this really uncomfortable conversation with their kid at some point where it's like, dad comes into the room. It's like, hey, can I talk to you for a second? And you shut the door and it's like, we noticed, we were looking at your phone the other day and we saw that you've been listening to Andrew Tate. Have you considered just doing pornography instead, like a normal child your age?
Here's some heroin. Could you please?
Right. It's like if you search there, you can find these girls do anything you want. Like, isn't that more fun than listening to this guy right here?
Please do something else. So I don't know the status of this law. Is it likely to pass?
It's been proposed. Okay. I would say
anybody can introduce.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's very likely to be passed. They put pretty hefty restrictions on marijuana recently and outright banned all the THC derived beverages, which sucks because those were divine. And
we live in a totalitarian state. The one benefit of that is that they can pass whatever they want.
Right. It's like every time they decry, like, how could you ever live in China where there's just one party that controls everything? It's like, man, I'm in Ohio. It's about the same shit.
I don't know how they sell, like, it's time to like take Ohio back. Yeah, right. I don't know how they do it, but they do it. Like,
we've got to rescue the state from the party that's been in charge since 1996. Like,
the enemy is always at the gates. Just remember that. So yeah, I think I would say it's a better than, I don't know. I have a guy I can call and find out the answer to this question. I'll have an answer for you guys on Sunday.
I like that.
I got a guy.
Chief's got a guy. We'll get you an update on gambling. It might be banned before then. I don't know how quickly things can move these days.
Anybody I would call would say, well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not really, we're not really a part of things these days.
Yeah.
They don't really ask our opinions.
No one cares what we think.
Yeah. I mean, if we're being honest, same, but there's a few people still left.
Oh God. Should we answer some Patreon questions?
Sure. I mean, we have to provide, I think we're legally required to provide some FC Cincinnati content on this episode.
I think so. If you would like to ask a question, all you got to do is support us on Patreon. There's a link in the description of the episode. You can also find it by Googling around. I'm sure you'll find it. It's on our website. There's a link there. But yeah, if you provide us a small monetary contribution, either monthly or yearly, there are annual options available. You too can ask a lovely question. We have a voicemail inbox. I guess you can also text this number, by the way. Not that that would be easier or harder. But you can place a voicemail and we will answer your questions on the show. So here we are, the first voicemail.
Redbeard here with an April question. If you could know one stat about yourself and your life with a running counter, what would it be? Maybe the total number of steps that you've taken, or the total number of Skyline conies you've eaten, or largest snot bubble, anything about yourself or your life with a running counter of your most or your best. What stat would that be? And then what would you want to know for an FC player? Thanks.
Man, life's not played in a spreadsheet. I'm all about the eye test. I don't.
You're not looking for stats. You're not checking the XG after the match.
I'm not checking stats. You know, I feel like I know if I did a good job or not.
I would like to know how many times I've avoided death.
Oh, yeah, like a near death.
Because that's one of those ones where it's like, if it's 0, hell yeah. Like I'm but if it's 50, it's an even bigger hell yeah. That like, dude, I'm invincible. This is awesome.
Or what are you doing? Or who is trying to kill you and failing?
Right. But then it would also be fun to like, you know, that number ticks up and it's like, what how? Like
it's just you've got a fish called Wanda situation going on.
Yeah. That's a great reference.
Oh my God. You know, that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Phenomenal.
It's unbelievable.
It's
unbelievable.
Maybe we're due to do a film room of an actually good movie to talk about, because that would be one where I'll bet a lot of people haven't seen that one.
Oh, I haven't seen that in a while. I would love to have an excuse to watch it again.
Right.
It's so funny.
Maybe we'll cue that up during the World Cup break. Put a pin in that.
Kevin Kline is severely underrated. I certainly had this thought as a younger man, a stat that I would have enjoyed. Total number of people that had a crush on me. I just want to know what that number is.
That would be depressing.
I
don't want to know that. I don't want to know that.
But just anything north of 0 would feel pretty good.
What if it is 0?
Because then you're like what if the number?
Have a hard conversation with the wife.
Your wife, right?
You know what's worse is if the number is like kind of high.
Oh,
and you're like, what was I doing?
Right. There's no winning here. Like there's no number that's going to make you feel good.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Like I thought I lived a good life, but it turns out I didn't.
Yeah, I was missing out all this shit right here.
I wasn't in the world. I wasn't aware. I wasn't taking chances. Man, like if I have to defend my life like Albert Brooks, I'm not gonna.
No, dude, another great movie. Defending Your Life is incredible. All right, we're 2 for 2 so far in movie references tonight.
The other stat, since Grayson didn't give us one, the other stat I would like is, and I know there are apps that will let you do this, but I would be curious the amount of time I have been paid to poop. I think that would be
I used to calculate that when I was working hourly back in the day.
Yeah.
Just especially before like cell phones, when you really had to like the time was your own and you just had to sort of make do.
The early days of the smartphone was fun. There were a lot of like toilet themed apps where you could like check into bathrooms and review bathrooms and stuff.
There's a guy on TikTok that does a series of videos, Come Take a Massive Shit with Me, where he just reviews places to go and use the bathroom. You know what else would be a great number? Would be just, and I'm not even going to explain what this means. It just means whatever you want it to mean. EXP. What have I earned so far?
Chief, are you familiar with the subreddit r/outside?
No, but more people on Reddit need to join that IRL.
Well, so the idea is that you treat life as an RPG. So your level is the number of years old you are. And then people talk about speccing to a particular class and what do you do in these situations. It's very funny. Just sort of treating everyday life as an RPG is very amusing.
So for FC players,
the
stat that I want is I want the heart rates of Evander and Nick Hagland after a game. So like Evander's like sitting at like 48 and Hagland's like 190.
Hagland's redlining from start to finish.
No, I don't want that. Can I this is a cop out. I want
you can ask whatever you want.
I want Pat Noonan, and I want a number that goes up every time he gets mad somebody doesn't do something he wants on the field.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
So if the number's very low, it really is his fault. The number's very high.
Or if the number's very low, he doesn't have any ideas.
Oh, right. So they're not doing what he wants.
They're not doing what he wants. He doesn't know what he wants, or what he wants is.
Dang. It's a good point. Or his plan is constantly changing in his own mind. So everything the players do isn't what he wants to have done. So the number's just like astronomical.
It would be fun if at like leverage moments, the game could just like stop and Noonan would have to like guess like A, B, or C, like what action is this player going to take? Or what action should this player take right now?
Right. Another fun one would be like, I'd always like to know, like, how many goals would this player have scored if they played for a different team? And I know there's no real way to quantify that, but like Kevin Denke on LA Galaxy, does he improve them? Does he gain goals in that situation? Does he lose goals?
Yeah, they should normalize the golden boot.
They do that in Europe, right?
Like goals on, like apply some invent. Like we can do any stat we want, right?
Yeah.
So like we come up with the coefficient to apply to like each team based on like.
Oh, I like
how effective your tactics are at creating chances, how many chances are actually created, what's your XG, etc. And for each striker, you apply their team coefficient to their total goals, and that's how you award Golden Boot.
So this is like park factors in MLB statistics, where like you can normalize where they play at and where the games are.
So I believe this is called the European Golden Shoe or European Golden Boot. There's different things, but they do exactly this, Grayson. They apply a coefficient to the league. So it's like a Premier League goal is worth 1, a La Liga goal is worth 0.9, League 1 goal is worth 0.7, whatever the case is. And then you sort of normalize there. I think we could do exactly that with teams.
What about just a running counter of every player's head with the number of times they've thought about leaving?
The field or the team? I quit.
Just a number over every player's head while they're out on the field.
Man.
Yeah, the number means a different thing with each player, and part of the game is figuring out what the number over each player means.
And Kevin Denke's ELO.
Yeah, right. That would be fun. Well, it doesn't matter. There's like a new 17-year-old kid who's just laying waste to grandmasters these days.
I don't know how to follow chess.
We got a new phenom out there.
Not a nerd.
He's probably cheating. That's what I've learned about chess, is if you're good, you're probably cheating.
That's a good point.
Or on drugs. I watched the Queen's Gambit.
If you're not cheating, you're not trying.
This is true.
That's true. Okay, we got 3 more
That's
questions.
True in chess, true in marriage.
Wait a second. Brock Bermel asks, I think this is a great question. Who has the better season? The FC, the Reds, or the Bengals?
Reds are off to a decent start. They're not going to hit for the rest of the year, though. And they're not going to stay healthy, but
Or do
So
they
far.
revert to the mean and start hitting more, Chief?
That this team doesn't have the bats to hit more. They're going to be
That's
inconsistent all year.
Bengals.
Do they not the Bengals?
No, I said the Bengals.
Oh, the Bengals. Oh, so you are saying the Bengals. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll probably say the Bengals too. Just 'cause I don't believe in this Reds team. I don't think
Like
they're very
FCC
good.
2? Bengals 2?
Bengals too.
Bengals too. Is that LSU? They sent or
Yeah.
Georgia? They
Yeah.
sent the
LSU.
only recruit.
This is the year for the Bengals. They're getting it done.
So what does that mean? Like a deep playoff run?
Whatever you want, man.
No,
Okay.
they'll be profitable. That's the only thing this team has ever wanted.
Like, you could sell me on the Reds and FCC making the playoffs and the Bengals not making the playoffs. I don't know.
I think I'll put it this way. I think the Bengals. No, the FC has a better chance of making the playoffs than either of those two teams.
Well,
I'm going
I
to say
mean,
all
format.
three make the playoffs.
Bold. I mean, the Reds made it last year, right? Barely, I
Yeah.
think. Yeah.
first
They should be
time
better this year.
in city history, all three teams in the playoffs.
The Reds and the
Uh,
Bengals have never won on the same day.
That's
Yeah.
so true.
This is the year. I can feel it though.
Surely they've all made the playoffs at the same time at some point, but maybe not. I don't know. The Bengals are weird. Kyle Lucal asks, is the post Sensi's Broadway world correspondent still alive? Grayson?
Yeah, what happened there?
I thought we put a pin in that.
Oh,
We can
Did
do headlines. We can do headlines this Sunday.
But you know, we can talk about it. And I was thinking about, there was like a Broadway related topic I wanted to bring up on one of the other episodes. It just didn't come up really. Now I lost it, but yeah, we can talk theater anytime, man.
All right.
I want to set up. Prepare
I went
yourself.
to a stunning production of Clue by St. Xavier High School a couple weeks ago.
Nice.
High school theater connoisseur.
Ragtime just got extended, I think, to August. So, folks, there's still time. I think
out
John
there.
Cameron Mitchell is still on Oh Mary. If you guys go this weekend, so that's there. They're bringing Rocky Horror back. The Cats the Jellicle Ball is intriguing. Not a fan of Cats, really, but
Not a fan of Cats. No,
but they have
Little weird.
they have a concept, and I don't know. We'll see.
Grayson, I've been meaning to get David Goss back on the World's Gam, and I want to try to make that happen next week because I have heard he's a music theater nerd, and I think that would be really fun to have him on and just talk music theater and not MLS.
I gotta know what his stuff is. Here's
that was Grayson dismissing that he has any like bona fides right there. That was incredible.
From what little I know, I think he could play ball.
speaking of musical theater. If folks haven't seen the movie Blue Moon yet, run, don't walk. Ethan Hawke nominated for Best Actor this year. I think honestly, probably should have won. I just don't think enough people saw this movie. It is hilarious. It is touching. They make Ethan Hawke look so tiny you wouldn't believe.
What? Where is it located? Like, is it streaming right now?
I'm sure it's streaming. It's streaming. I don't know where. I haven't looked. I'll figure it out.
All right.
Blue Moon movie streaming.
I'm gonna say
Disney-
HBO Max.
It's on. You can rent it. It looks like.
Okay.
No, it looks
I
like
don't
it's on Netflix.
Nice.
Yes, it's on Netflix.
There you go.
Yeah. They do have more than cult documentaries.
Just like one or two others, though.
They have more than Rebel Moon.
That doesn't sound right.
No. Part 3 coming any day now.
This last question, I'm actually going to save it. We need to do a little bit of homework on it before we get to that one. So there you go. That is all of the Patreon questions we have so far. Folks, submit them. If you are paying money, you get to ask a question. So let's get them in, okay? And then finally, let's wrap it up in part 3, part 2. What are we on?
2.
Yeah, part 2. Sorry. Part 1 went weirdly long, where we will preview the upcoming match against Toronto. All right, we are back, and so is the FC. 1 p.m. on the road against Toronto. Josh Sargent finally showed up for these guys. It was a bizarre, wild game. Definitely worth watching at least the highlights last time out for Toronto. They won 3-2 against the Colorado Rapids. There were 3 red cards in this game. An insane own goal from Zach Steffen.
Yeah, it was windy.
Might be the end of his career, man. Like, that was so bad.
Yeah.
There are a ton of yellow cards.
Has Josh Sargent been named captain for this Toronto team? Because just from a life point of view, like, having a sergeant that's also a captain is just very funny to me.
It's a really good point.
What's your vector, Victor?
Roger.
I don't know. I don't have that information in front of me, but I'm going to guess no, he is not the team captain. That would be...
He's got to go by Josh Captain once that happens, right? You got to promote yourself.
Yeah.
That's really funny. You kind of have to. I assume Jonathan Osorio is their captain.
Or you don't have a team captain. You don't have a team captain. You have a team sergeant, and then sergeant is the sergeant, and it sort of like becomes a position that like he bequeaths to somebody else.
Oh, that's fun. So instead of a C on the armband, it's a little S.
It's an S. Yeah.
Yes, it looks like Osorio is the captain, which makes sense.
Yeah.
The fans did a nice little tribute to him. I think he made what was it? It was like 600 million appearances for Toronto. It was something crazy.
It's a lot. Is that in Canadian appearances or American appearances?
That's metric system.
metric, yeah.
So converting to imperial, it is 400 career games with Toronto FC.
Hey, remember when like politics was we're going to make Canada the 51st state? Remember that? That was a thing.
Remember that was a little silly.
That was silly. That was fun. That didn't bother anyone. We're going to annex Greenland. That was cool. That was different.
Did you know the European powers drew up actual war plans and had things in place to like blow up airfields in Greenland and stuff? They were legitimately prepared.
Now would be the time to take Canada. Like no one is suspecting that we're going to march across the border to go get Canada.
It's not clear to me in the modern day what conquering another country would even be like.
If you do it during a Maple Leafs game, no one's going to notice for at least an hour.
Just walk through empty streets.
So I think that honestly, the most likely conquering scenario has reared its head today, because the kind of our MO currently seems to be kind of just like sitting back and declaring victory from our shores.
Yeah.
You know, just saying like, oh yeah, we won that. And you haven't like occupied, you're not like over there. You haven't occupied it. You're not running things really. You're just kind of saying you did it. The one scenario where you can do that is a schism in the Catholic Church.
With an Avignon papacy. Yes,
where you just declare the Holy See is now in West Palm.
I mean, it's illegitimate because he's an American. We can just order him to be. You can order him to move.
You're just like Bishop Robert Barron. You're the Pope now. You moved to Florida, and this is the Chateauneuf de Pape now. you know.
The Bishop JD the first. He serves in a Methodist church for some reason. Don't ask a lot of questions.
But that is like the one thing, because you're like, no, this is now the seat of Catholicism.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna have electors and everything. We love electors in this country. We have an electoral college.
You know where there's
familiar.
Yeah.
You know where there's lots of cardinals?
St. Louis,
Ohio.
Oh.
State bird of Ohio.
State bird of Ohio. The owner of the St. Louis Cardinals lives in Ohio. There you go, Chief. We were right.
Pope Afro Man in Adams County.
I mean, there's a college of cardinals out in Stanford. I mean, why not?
Cardinal.
Cardinal. Ball State would be a college of cardinals.
Ball State. There you go.
Muncie, Indiana, new seat of the papacy.
Man, there's going to be like 6 popes.
If you have 6 popes, you have no popes. Everybody knows this.
That does like figure. We finally get an American one, and we're like, no, you're not pope anymore.
You're not pope anymore. Yeah, you're not allowed to visit anymore.
We're making our new Catholic Church.
Also, the White Sox suck, so that tracks. On that thought, though, Grayson, should Pat Noonan just declare victory no matter what happens in this game this weekend?
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
Really good point. That's
just like we won bigly. We accomplished all of our goals in this match.
And Toronto agreed.
Right. And we will be splitting further proceeds from this season with Toronto FC.
Yep. We're going to permit Toronto to continue to host home games. They will be giving us some of the gate receipts.
Yeah. Toronto has made a great decision today to allow us to win and to give us this victory. We thank Toronto for stepping up to the plate. Big things ahead for Toronto FC. Thank you for your attention, Pat Noonan.
And really what had happened was we got like 35 shots, but Toronto won 2-0.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, the ground campaign at BMO Park did not go so well.
We knocked Walker Zimmerman out, though.
Once we put boots on the ground, things went horribly awry.
We cleated Walker Zimmerman. He had to come off the field.
We totally owned the airspace. Had it own goal.
Yeah. Thank you, Delta. Do we stick with a back 4 in this game? Does that happen again?
Please.
We have to. You cannot chicken out. You got to stick with
Noonan always chickens out. Like that's the problem. I'm always saying this though.
Nako. No, we got to do this. Like if this is the plan going forward, then
Paco, Pat always chickens out.
Nano. Noonan always nerfs out.
Nopes out.
Nopes out. Noonan always nopes out.
Nano.
Well, we got.
Now we have an acronym. Yeah. So now we just gotta find an appropriate scenario to apply it, because I'm not sure he's ever like noped out or
right.
Not really. I guess he noped out of the diamond midfield after that first game in Austin.
Yeah. Noped out of the playoffs last couple of years.
Hey. Noped out of the Open Cup.
Yeah.
If they do not keep the back 4 in place, that is a chicken, cowardly, horrid, awful, what are we doing here move.
If they don't play the back 4, they have to fire Eric Lehigh, the U15 Academy coach.
Oh.
What like all the generals that are helping out right here?
Wait, can Eric Lehigh play? He's pretty good fullback in his day.
Right. Given that we're all in agreement on this, who is your back 4 for this game?
It has to be Ramirez. I'll assume Robinson is healthy. I'll say Miazga, and I'll say Kyle Smith.
I'm of the mind, I said this in the Discord today, that you paid $1.5 million or $1.6 million for Matt Miazga. Realistically speaking, you've got to find out, I think, over the course of the next 4 to 6 weeks, if he can come back and assimilate himself or adjust his play into this back four, if that's what you're thinking. Because if he can't, then you have the tough decision over the World Cup break to make about what you're doing with his salary spot in the summer window. They've got the buyout available, but you've got to find out if he's up for it, if he's physically up for it. And it's one of those things too where center back is an old man game position. There's tons of examples of players aging gracefully into center back positions. You would hope that Miazga, based on how intelligent of a player he is, can find a way to do that, and that the physical skills will be good enough to carry him through, especially with Miles Robinson on the other side of him. I think that like you can be tempted into saying, oh, well, teenage is more athletic or teenage is a better fit currently. But I think you've got to give Miazga the run in this for at least the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think the benefit of like, look, Shield's gone.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Eastern Conference gone. Like you're not going to win. I mean like winning the Eastern Conference is like,
yeah, probably. But the Eastern Conference, I think, is significantly weaker than we thought it was to start the year.
That's true. So I think a benefit of being where they are and kind of having some confidence in your talent and understanding how forgiving MLS playoff qualification is, you do have the leeway to stick with a new formation a little bit and see if you can make it work, right? You have the leeway to run Matt Miazga out and give him every opportunity to get back to as close to, his full powers as he can get. Right. And I think that the back four likely, but as healthy and fit as possible, Matt Miazga much more so, is kind of vital to creating any kind of ceiling for what this team can do and be at the end of the season.
Yeah.
That you have to chase those, you have to like kind of chase those things now and see if they can work, even if you're sacrificing results. Cause I'm very much with, I think I very much agree with Chief about the last result, as, disappointing and unacceptable as it is. It's better to lose 4-2 experimenting with your formation.
Yeah.
Than to lose 4-2, lose 4-3, lose 6-1, trying the same old thing.
Yeah.
And so I think they have to stick with Matt, stick with experimentation on the formation. I think that the back four that Chief identified has to be your guys. And let's see where this can take us, is how I feel about it. And I don't love having all those CB resources on the bench. I don't love that it feels like the way the team was built wasn't to play anything but that, back three with wingbacks. But when it's not working, it's not working. And when it's not going to work, it's not going to work, And so you got to kind of have the courage to figure out how are you going to put yourself in the position where you are as good as you can be in October.
Yeah. And the other thing too is that they are built to play this center back system right up until they aren't. They've got two of their highest priced center backs on expiring contracts at the end of this year. And they've got the ability to do some different things in the summer window. But I think that step one is you have got to give this some run with the best roster that you had and the best players that you have available, And it's like you have to assume and you have to go on the principle that if you've been playing this 3-5-2 system for multiple years, that switching as a one-off thing and then immediately panicking that it didn't look good and switching back, then you have fundamentally misunderstood the purpose of like switching at that point.
And it wasn't like a pure laboratory conditions experiment of that formation, right? You have to think that it looks way better with Miles there.
Yeah. And you have to think it looks way better with like a full week of training with everybody in the building, not on an international break.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So with that in mind, Toronto, I mean, I guess better to face them now than later, should they in fact gel and Josh Sargent continues to be the player that he was brought in to be for Toronto. This game comes to us again. It's the early afternoon time slot, 1 p.m. on Saturday. Grayson, give me a prediction for this one.
They're going to do it. The FC 3-1.
Wow.
We are going to have it's going to be so good. You guys won't even believe it. And then this early part of the season, it will never have happened.
Just completely.
It will shock you how much it never happened.
I'd be over the moon. Okay. Yeah. I am willing to move on and forgive everything immediately.
With a big
win. If that happens with a big win. The only problem is that's not going to happen. They're going to lose 2-1.
Oh no.
But the defense will look better.
I'm going to say we get a decisive, dominant 1-0 victory.
Do they create a lot of chances though?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can live with that
like,
then.
They feel good. It's a good vibe, but then it's like, it's not banging in the goals yet, but everything else is working. So
see, like where I'm at is that like, I want this to be in a position where Kevin says unironically, man, can you imagine when Dotto gets back?
Isn't he back this weekend?
Oh shit. Can I change to 2-0?
Yeah. Do whatever you want, man. We're just making shit up.
2-0's the official prediction. I forgot Dotto's back. There's your left winger of choice. Oh, please. And there you go.
There you go.
All right. Don't forget to set your alarm clocks this weekend. It's games bright and early.
Yes. 1 p.m. American.
On a Saturday.
It's 1 p.m. Canadian, which means that it's actually going to kick off at like 12:52 American. Exchange rate is the Canadian dollar's way off right now.
1 p.m. Saturday is what? A Premier League.
Well, actually, no, it goes the other way. Like, yeah. So if it's 1 Canadian, it's like 1:18 American. Yeah. So game's really not like you have some time. If you need to like take some time, it's not going to be a 1 o'clock kick.
I need to think about this a little bit.
Yeah.
What's the exchange rate? This is so hard.
Is it more valuable to be early or late?
Well, I'm just saying a Canadian hour is only 1 Canadian hour is worth. No, wait, where does it? No, 1 Canadian hour.
What is the exchange rate? Is it actually worth more?
No, we're ahead. We're doing better. The dollar's stronger.
If you work an hour in Canada, it's like you make as much as if you worked like 45 minutes in the US. Let's say.
So like a Canadian hour is only worth like 45 American minutes. So that really means that your 1 o'clock kickoff is actually only worth is actually 12:45 American.
We'll say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you reset at 0 at noon.
Yeah.
Yeah. The exchange rate is $1 to 1.38 Canadian dollars.
Oh, they're getting slaughtered. Yeah.
So it's like 12.40.
No, give me what is one Canadian dollar in American? Can you flip that?
I can. Sorry.
Boy.
So
and
one
multiply that by 60.
Okay, so $1 Canadian is worth 0.72.
And then when you add Kurt Angle to the mix,
so yeah, like 44, like 12:44.
Yeah, 12:44. Yeah. So tune in at 12:44. That's what time it starts in American. It's going to say 1 o'clock, but it's Canadian time.
Don't do that.
You know who's really, if Carter listens to any of this, he's going to just smash his phone.
There's no way he made it through part 1.
There's no chance at all. Whatever. Fuck Columbus.
The Cincy Postcast is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out online at thepostcincy.com. You can also follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky, Facebook, and Instagram. Twitter and Blue Sky, though, you'll find we're a little more active than the other places. We're also on YouTube, where you can listen to this episode if you aren't listening to it already. We are also putting up video content semi-regularly, including the Away Days series. We want to give a huge thank you to Jim Trace and the Makers for providing the music for this episode. They're a lovely band, and you can find more information out about them in the description of this episode. And if you happen to enjoy what you just heard, can I please ask that you like us, that you rate us on whatever app you're listening to, and maybe more importantly than all of that, share this episode with a friend. When it comes up at work, you're talking about FC Cincinnati, I say, hey, I listened to an FC Cincinnati podcast. I think you guys will like it. It would really, really help us out. Nothing helps a podcast travel more than a good recommendation from a friend, family member. That would be awesome. When it comes to the sorting algorithms that control our lives, a 5-star review would be much appreciated. Also, leaving a sort of written review weirdly does more than that. That's how the algorithms work. So maybe say a nice or a mean thing, whatever. Just as long as you give us 5 stars, that'll really, really, really help us out. And if you are looking for more MLS content, check out our other podcast, The World's Gam. Again, a link will be in the description of this episode. That is where we touch on league-wide storylines and news, and we talk about other games and a couple other teams in there as well. I think you will enjoy it if you are just dipping your toes into Major League Soccer. A huge thank you to all of our sponsors. A even bigger thank you to all of our patrons over at Patreon. But maybe most importantly, thank you for listening to this episode.